Jordan, we couldn't start the show without talking about this address last night.
Presidential address to the nation.
There was a flurry of news about it yesterday.
Theories about what may be in this
Exactly.
speech. I mean, it was clear of course, the White House was pushing out economic. We're about to see. We've seen the inflation drop. I mean, under the Biden administration, we hit 9%. We're down to 2.7%. So the idea that the tariffs would somehow spike inflation, that was not true. So from the left, and again, a lot of the tariffs were being used as negotiating tactics. So while it did bring in some into the U.S. economy, I think President Trump said $18 billion. It was a way to again renegotiate U.S. Tariffs as well. What was happening to our goods in other countries, and it looks like that has been a positive that did not impact inflation. You look at the stock market numbers today; they didn't have some. They were like, oh, the president's. We don't believe any of this. They were. I think it's up a little bit. So it's like it didn't have an impact there in a negative way, and I think that's always where you want to look at it. Did this have a negative impact? No, and so the left wasn't really sure how to characterize President Trump being more succinct. It was 18 minutes. I thought when I turned it on at 8, I'd probably have 45 minutes of watching, and you don't know other issues that might pop up along the way. But it was very centered and focused on the economy. And the big test is going to be, will the big beautiful bill actually do what the president and the Republicans who passed that bill primarily promised that it would do? That people will start feeling that in 2026, which is key because it's a midterm election year.
That's right. And this isn't an abnormal thing for the president to do a year-end speech, a year-end address to talk about the accomplishments of the year.
Especially before people are too down the line to Christmas and then that Christmas to New Year's swing. So you could still people are still in kind of a somewhat normal mode, I'd say.
I do want to give some reaction to it here, Jordan, as we kind of go through this. It was a different tone than we'd heard in kind of a presidential address from the president in that format. Almost had more of a rally style without an audience.
Right.
But here are some of the headlines I picked. I just picked a few just because I thought you'd enjoy them. Top Democrats rip Trump address, untethered from reality and truth. Then the MS Now had the top 10 most brazen lies from Trump's year-end primetime address. In 18 minutes, they found the top 10. I mean, it's kind of should cover the whole speech at that point. I think there weren't more than 10 points he made if you're going to try to do that. But then we had the president. This is from CNN. The president fixated on Joe Biden in a rushed speech that didn't sell a compelling economic message. I also want to bring this up.
That's my first point. Usually the media, that's because they want him to speak for an hour and a half. Why? Their ratings go up because people would rather watch him than most of their hosts. And so usually they're talking about, it's long-winded, it's all over the place. So when it's actually direct, I do think he gave it in like a very tough tone. But when it's direct and to the point, it's like, oh, what's this? We only got 18 minutes. Now we got to rush to cover now our full show. We didn't just get to rely on President Trump covering 1.5 of our news broadcast shows that aren't doing so well at night. And so I think that's point one. Point two, the idea that it's lies. You can't lie about inflation. So inflation going down from 9 to 2.7%. You can't lie about saying that military bonuses are going out because of the tariffs of $1,776. Again, going to that 250th anniversary of the United States. And then a lot of this is talking about, and this is where you have to be more speculative because we've got the big, beautiful bill going now into full effect into 2026. That is when ordinary citizens, not just government agencies, but the people are supposed to get the positive effects. You can't say that's not true until you've allowed it to go into effect. So you allow it to go into effect, and then you can judge it from there. I think what's happening is prejudging and saying, this can't be true and that can't be true. That's not completely accurate. And if that is correct, it could balance the healthcare issue. Because if people have more money and if their mortgage rates do go down, the interest rates there go down, especially on mortgages, then if you don't have that extra COVID era by Obamacare funding, well, if you're paying a lot less for your home in a year or this upcoming year, you're able to then cover what may be for some people. Some of these costs I was hearing, it's $50 more a month, $100 more a month, and on the higher end earners, $1,000 more a month. Well, if their mortgage payment goes down by a percentage point or two, that should be able to balance out.
That's right. And once again, I thought it was comical.
Not be a net bonus.
Because CNN called it in one article a speech about nothing.
Right. But they have 10.
But then they also fact-checked a speech about nothing. What's there to fact-check if it was indeed about nothing?
I mean, their own headlines, we always go to this, their own headlines contradict themselves. They have fact-checkers saying that there's all these lies. And then their bigger headline is it was a speech, it was a nothing speech. Well, if it was a nothing speech, why do you have fact checkers taking it, and why is it covering all of your homepage? And I think what it was they saw 18 minutes. It was 18 minutes. It was not what they were expecting. It wasn't me. It wasn't going off teleprompter. It wasn't going off message. It stuck to the economy.
Let's go ahead and play bite 4.
Definitely.
This is from the president last night. This is just kind of a sampling of how he weaved in the previous administration and where we are now. Bite 4.
Here at home, we're bringing our economy back from the brink of ruin. The last administration and their allies in Congress looted our treasury for trillions of dollars, driving up prices and everything at levels never seen before. I am bringing those high prices down and bringing them down very fast. Let's look at the facts. Under the Biden administration, car prices rose 22% and in many states 30% or more. Gasoline rose 30 to 50%. Hotel rates rose 37%. Airfares rose 31%. Now, under our leadership, they are all coming down and coming down fast.
So once again, he is showcasing economic numbers, data that helps his cause, but is still rooted very much in that contrast with Biden.
Yes.
That's okay. And I think it's fine for now.
For the first year, you're allowed to correct the wrongs that. The reason why you were elected is that people did not want Biden or the Harris agenda to continue. They did not believe that was the right path. So you have to, and they believed that they were causing trouble and problems. So you have to correct the problems. And when you correct the problems, the correction is the first part, and then the benefit of the correction is the second part. And the American people, if those numbers stay low on inflation, if mortgage interest rates come down, it can balance out some of that Obamacare subsidies during COVID that are not going to be extended. It does not look like that'd be voted down. They're not even having a vote on that in the House, and because they could not agree on even having a vote that likely would have failed, but couldn't even get there. But if mortgage rates come down, and you're talking about kind of the people not at the lowest end who are not going to be paying the biggest increases. For them, I mean, it could be $25 and $50 a month. I'm not saying that's nothing, but for full health care coverage, it's pretty good. And that happens over time. That's just normal. That is normal inflation when it comes to a program that's now been in place for over a decade. When you're looking at then what comes next for the American people and for the middle class, that's the key. And does the big, beautiful bill deliver? And so that's what the voters will be judging President Trump on.